Wii Sports Resort. Day number 28. If you guys don't know, this is a challenge where I'm drawing fan art from a different game every single year for a year straight. Started on the first day of the year, and I will end on the last. Today is Wii Sports Resort. I decided to draw the little frisbee dog out on the beach. I really wanted to emphasize Woohoo Island. I seriously fucking love Wii Sports Resort. I really, really like this game, actually. And I wanted to show off the island. I wanted to show off what made the game special. And the dog's so cute. I ended up doing the dog not facing the screen. So we didn't really get to see the full cuteness of the dog. But I'm still very happy with the way that this piece turned out for sure. Alright, so I wrote a couple things down, okay? I wrote a couple things down to talk about in this little mini pod. And the first thing is just one-person podcasts are kind of interesting because you don't have anything to bounce off of. I felt a lot more comfortable with Leo on the mic with me. For one, Leo is a yapper. Leo likes to talk, and I'm more of a listener, if anything. I'm more quiet in my actual everyday life. So it's hard for me to come up with things to talk about all the time, for this video. I have to think of things that I can talk about for 15 minutes, which seems very easy. But for me, I don't know, it's kind of difficult. Hence why I started writing down things that I can talk about in these videos. But so I was okay, what are other one-person podcasts doing? The two that stuck out to me is Theo Vaughn's One Guy podcast. And then I haven't watched it before, but then I watched it and I was like, dude, he's just funny. I can't compete with he's just a very funny guy. And then the other one that I thought of was Curtis Connor. I knew Curtis Connor had a podcast, didn't know what it was about at all, but decided to just look at the thumbnails, and all of them are just talking about YouTube drama. It is just a drama page. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just make this about drama. So basically, I'm out here. I'm alone out here. Let's see, what else? Movies. Movies. Recently, it's my hyperfixation as of late is movies. Been watching. Yesterday, we watched 2 movies. Our friend group. It was The Lighthouse, which I've already seen. Fantastic movie. And then we watched. What was the other movie that we watched? Oh no. Jojo Rabbit. And I really liked Jojo Rabbit. It was the first time I watched it, but I really liked it. And then it got me back into lists and shit. So I decided to make a top 20 movies list. Jojo Rabbit made the list, but the more I think about it, I'm I don't know. I think I could probably replace it because it was literally the 20th spot. But I my first run through the list, I forgot a couple weird random movies How to Talk to Girls at Parties is on my top 20. Scott Pilgrim is in my top 10 and I completely forgot about it. Stuff like that. Oh my god, this dog is so cute. We're going to talk about the drawing for a second. Colors. Perfect. It doesn't come in until later because the idea for this drawing is that I wanted to do flat colors entirely first this time. Entirely. I wanted to get all the colors on the screen and then come back and do all the details. And I also outlined everything, but instead of outlining it in like black or like the super dark gray that I use for most outlines, I just did it with a color relating to the color that it is, if that makes sense. So like the rocks, I haven't drawn the rocks yet, but it's like a darker brown, and then the rocks come out a little bit sandy-ish brown, just as an example. And I did everything on different layers, so the layer management took up a lot of time. Like I think this one I spent the most time on the background, because I would argue that this is the piece that focuses on the background the most. It's almost more about Woohoo Island than it is about the subject, which is like the first drawing that's the case for, if that makes sense. Yeah, love Woohoo Island, love these games. Back to what I was talking about. I forgot what I was talking about, so I'm gonna consult the list again. Oh, it was movies. Yes. There was another one that I forgot. What was it? Maybe it was like Shawshank Redemption. I think it was one of those like boring movies where I was like, yeah, I guess it'll go on the list. I had Shawshank Redemption, Good Will Hunting, and Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can barely made the top 10, and then the other two were somewhere in the 10 to 20 range. And then eventually, while I was like remembering other movies, Good Will Hunting fell off of the list. Great movie, by the way. All very good movies that I would highly, highly recommend. Top 3, because that's usually what people are interested in. SLC Punk, fantastic, amazing acting, amazing message, and I feel like it connects with growing up and being an individual in Salt Lake very well. So it feels very personal. Okay. Sorry, I need to make a mental note. 7 minutes, 25 seconds. I need to go back and blur the Discord thing. Yeah, okay. So that's number 1. Number 2 is Clockwork Orange. The first time I ever experienced a movie that had like very overt political, ideas. And it was like very fucked up and hard to watch. It was like the first movie that like really challenged me. I watched it when, I don't know, in like high school, maybe a little bit before high school. I was not a movie guy until I watched that movie, I would say. Even after, it took me a long time to really get into movies. My friend Gray, who I used to go to like national parks with, I would attribute him to getting me into movies, because we used to go to national parks, come back to like the hotel, and just watch like 4 movies a night. And we watched so much, like Midsommar and a lot of A24 movies, Lighthouse, which was on my top list, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is probably like 22. So it didn't make my list, but it was close, and it's a very good movie. All movies that I watched with him. But yeah, I don't know, just bangers all around. And then the third movie, my third and fourth are actually kind of corny. I'll talk about my fourth as well, just because. Actually, well, yeah, we'll do the top 4, because that's like the letterbox thing. Top 3, or number 3 is No Country for Old Men. I don't know. It's basically a shoo-in. It's like the best movie ever created. If you wanted me to like rate movies objectively, I think that might be the number 1 like best movie ever. Speaking of Gray actually read the book, I think. I'm pretty sure we have had a conversation, me and him, about that. And he said that the book was actually a lot better than the movie. And I don't know, somehow that surprises me, because the narrative's good, but it's not, what I really love about the movie. I love like the sound design, I love the acting, I love the language that they use. The accents, the delivery. That's really what I like about the movie. So I don't know. That's interesting. Any book heads out there? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Books are like the one big media that I feel like I've just like not ever gotten into. I don't know. Okay, my last my last bullet point on here is just like a really stupid joke that I don't know. I was driving home from work and I was like, "Oh, that's gold. That's gold. I definitely got to say that one on the show." And it was if it was like a shower thought. That's how I would describe it. It was like a shower thought. If I ever became like a comedian, or if I ever had like a situation where I was like performing something on a stage, I would have a segment at the end of the show where I would be like, okay, and now time for the closet evictions, and I would just like try outing people in the crowd for what they are, like I'd be like, you're definitely gay, shit like that, and then they're like, what the fuck, and or I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what's the absolute like worst thing that you could do. It reminds me because like there was a time I was like with my ex and I was eating at a restaurant with my mom, and then my mom's boyfriend and my mom's boyfriend's daughter, who was not out as lesbian, or I don't know, she had a girlfriend and wasn't out about it. And then my ex literally just like was like, "So you guys are dating, right?" It was so awkward, but it was kind of like hilarious at the same time. I think a lot of comedy is like just like how awkward and uncomfortable can can you make someone feel? But it is just fucked up that it's like someone's livelihood, someone's life, that you're just like making a joke about. Maybe they're there with their friends or something. It's a terrible, terrible idea. But I was like, that's hilarious. Kind of in a terrible way. I don't know. Definitely not a real thing, but I just thought it was funny in the car to be like, yeah, there should be a comedian that does the closet evictions, forcefully outing people. Okay, so this piece is coming together pretty well. I was having trouble. So this is the problem when I do things that are like where I hit everything flat colors first, is it looks so drab. It immediately like makes me lose interest in finishing the piece almost. So it was hard for me to fight through this last couple bits. I've talked about this before, but like for me, art is constantly fighting the urge to give up. Like I don't know why. It's always like, oh, can I just keep myself engaged, keep myself believing in this art for like just a couple more minutes so I can finish it. Before I mentioned that, like when I'm drawing stuff, I try to draw faces and hair as soon as possible because that's what I like drawing. So it gets me interested, and then like I'll immediately be like, oh yeah, that looks good, and I get more interested in it. So at this stage, I was like, oh, everything looks so bad. It looks so fucking bad. It looks like you hired someone with like no graphic design background or work to make your like shitty ski logo or something. That's what it was giving me the vibes of. But I don't know. Once I started hitting it with like some different colors, some random textures and shit, I thought I liked it. I liked it. Another issue that comes in a little bit later is the sky is like way too gray. I try messing with like the settings. My friend taught me how to use like add and multiply and stuff, so I tried to use those. I couldn't really figure out what was working out for me. Tried using saturation. I don't actually remember what I ended up doing, but it ended up working pretty well. So there it is, done.